Hey everybody, Dave Whitmarsh, Best Practice in HR. We have another CEO interview. Excited to introduce you to with Denola, and we're I had a little chat before as I do to get to know her and what she does, and I think you'll find this to be a very smooth and delightful conversation. So thanks for coming on.
Ooh, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me, David.
Yeah, so in context, why don't you tell us about your firm and what you do, and then anything we talk about later, we'll sort of people can put that in the memory bank and draw from it.
All right, thank you. So I am Denola Burton. I am the founder and CEO of Enhanced DNA, Develop, Nurture, Achieve, LLC. And in short, I say that we develop and nurture individuals and organizations so they can achieve their HR objectives in three areas: leadership, communication, and performance. And the whole purpose for the name of my business, where we are enhancing your DNA, is, we think about our DNA and, who makes us who we are, but we can also develop what we are in our careers and in our businesses, even in our lives, if we work at it. And so I work on those three things: leadership, communication, in order for you to improve your performance overall. My main customer is generally small businesses and nonprofit agencies. I really am trying to help those, and I'm a natural nurturer, so I try to help those who are not necessarily sure about how to grow and how to develop. And so we take those three things: leadership, communication, and performance, and break those down through different kinds of workshops, coaching, and helping them know how to best achieve their goals in their career and in their life.
Very good. And you touched on about you like the small business, and we talked a bit before about how much easier it is when you are working with a CEO that's starting to get some good growth, to put everything in place before it gets too big and you got to sort of backtrack and not be compliant. So run us through, that a bit, if you will.
Absolutely. So I like to work with small businesses. Sometimes it's even solopreneurs, people who are either just starting their business or are in their business but haven't grown to the point where they need more employees. And so I like to work with that client because I was in that situation myself. And even as an HR professional, I had to go through all the things that were required for my business. There are, as small business owners are building their businesses, they don't necessarily know or think about what they need to do from an HR perspective. And so I help small businesses and businesses what I call poised for growth. When they are poised for growth, that means that eventually they will want to hire, whether they want to hire contractors or whether they want to hire employees. They will need to understand all of the HR regulations that apply to their business and the things that they need to do in order to, I think, give themselves a competitive edge, in order for them to show that they value the contractors and the employees that they intend to hire. So I will take them through a process to assess their business, determine what their HR needs are, and then help them implement and put things in place, such as their HR strategy. They oftentimes have a business strategy. They don't necessarily have an HR strategy. Help them put their employee handbook in place and all of the different policies and procedures that need to be in there related to the type of business that they have. So it's really those businesses that are poised for growth.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other area you touched on, you said nonprofits. Now, I think we all love to work with nonprofits if we had a preference, and they come with their own set of set of issues too, right? Typically
Absolutely.
understaffed, often had people come in and sort of help and not quite finish projects at times, right? So what sort of instances or experiences have you run into there?
Yeah, so when I think about nonprofits, it could be anywhere from the nonprofit that has an executive director and a board and maybe nothing else, or it could be the nonprofit with 20, 30, 40, 50 employees. It could be anything in that range. But there are many nonprofits that do not have onboard HR except for day-to-day running of their payroll and maybe their recruiting, but they don't necessarily have professional development resources in-house. And what I like to do is go into the nonprofit agency and understand what they currently have. And also, in that case, do an assessment rather than just going in and say, oh, okay, I'm going to do this leadership training today. Rather than
Mm,
just saying, I'm going to do one thing, assess the entire process to determine if they indeed do have access to the resources that they need in order to ensure um, that their leadership and their employees are able to successfully go through the day. And so, in my corporate career as an HR professional, I worked with leaders at the very top of the organization as well as those employees at the bench. And the whole goal was to ensure that they had the tools and the resources to be successful in their roles. And that's what I do today for the nonprofit agencies as well.
that's actually simple. I don't think I've heard those exact words ever used before, right? Your goal in HR is to give people the tools and resources to help them do their job as they need to. Um, Whether they use them or not, right? That's not your problem. Well, it is your problem, but you, um, yeah, that's it's such a simple statement, but it actually really summarizes up so many aspects of HR so well. Yeah. Um, and so what was your career in the corporate world before you decided to work double your workload and take less pay?
No. Well, the beauty is that I did retire from my corporate role.
Oh,
So
good
I
for you.
have resources that, as you start a business and you're not ready to, just shoot that pay up, I do have resources. But I am a scientist by background, which is why my company name is Enhanced DNA. I took that from my science background. I work for a Fortune 50 company. I don't know, you may have heard of Eli Lilly and Company, maybe not,
Just
but
a little bit in
a
my
little bit.
household. Yep.
Yeah, a little bit. And so I worked for Eli Lilly and Company for 27 years, but I started as a scientist. One of the beauties of a company like Lilly is that they develop from within. And so as they were looking at people that they wanted to develop and grow in their role, they asked me if I wanted to try an HR assignment so that I could bring that HR knowledge back to the business. Well, I got in HR and I fell in love with the work because, as I said, I'm a natural nurturer. And so I decided to stay in HR. So over 20 of my years were in HR, providing that support to employees and leaders in what roles that most people would call employee relations. And so since I decided to stay in HR, I got certified in a lot of things.
Hmm.
Certified as an HR professional, certified in the DISC or behavioral assessment process, certified in crucial conversations. And so those certifications kind of led me to the fact that when Lilly offered an early retirement program, I was able to retire and have some tools. I
Hmm.
feel like I took the best parts of my HR career and was able to start this business because I left all that stressful stuff behind, the performance management and discipline, all those kinds of things that no one wants to really deal with, but you have to. I took those things as an experience and as a lesson, and started my own company again with nonprofits in mind because I already had established relationships in our community with the nonprofit community. So I really felt like I could begin there. I also got certified as a speaker, trainer, coach with the John Maxwell Team. So I had a lot of experiences, but I didn't have the resources. So I had to develop them. That's where the next step came, where I wrote a book and I published that book and started using my resources for the workshops that I was doing. So it's been a long
Yeah,
journey, but now that's where I get to use my joy and my passion to help others grow in their roles.
well, I'm sure the science world misses you. If you think about it, 25 years ago to have a woman scientist, like you would have been a um one, I don't know what the percentage would have been, but there probably wasn't a lot of them. How about
The
that? Huh?
few, one of the few, yeah,
Yeah.
one of the few, and
And
to double beat that into the fact that I'm a Black woman, was definitely a rarity.
yeah, for sure. Right. You'd be an EEO bingo card win for sure. Yeah. What's interesting though, and you touched on it. So you wrote your book in 2018, right? Which 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 for those paying attention, that means that's a real book. That means it's before ChatGPT could help you and spit out paragraphs like crazy. But
Yes.
now you and we're gonna I just want to touch on your publishing business. So in going through that experience, and we're gonna have a conversation, in a few months about this, but you've published or helped people publish 70 books.
Yes, yes. So I did not enjoy writing the book. Yes, those were the days before ChatGPT. In fact, I'm still trying to figure it out, but I wrote that book as a tool because in my workshops that I do, I tell a lot of stories. And the stories have lessons, and the lessons are leaving a legacy. So I did. It was just a book about me, but it was about the lessons in my life and how I've used them in my career. So that was my first book. I decided to self-publish that book. But when I self-published it, I realized I was, figuring it out as I went. I decided to join the Independent Book Publishers Association, and they have standards for which you can publish a professionally published book. And so I actually republished that first book using those standards because when I first wrote the book, I had no idea there were standards. And then I took some of the workshops that I do with my business, my HR business, and published those instead of creating participant guides for my workshops. I had these workbooks. And that was the beginning of me realizing that uh, this could be a business. And I had people that started to come to me and ask me if I could help them publish their book. And so I did begin that business in 2018. And as you've said, I've published over 70 books for other people. I think the best thing about publishing those 70 books, though, is that for every book that I publish, I submit to at least one literary contest, national contest. And we have had 24 of those books
Oh,
that have received
congratulations.
national recognition. So, yes, that is exciting that we know that our books are competitive and we know they are meeting publishing standards. So, that is the other part of my life is the two businesses, and that business is called Enhanced DNA Publishing. So it still
Hmm.
has the DNA. We develop and nurture authors so they can achieve their objectives. So it's a part of our communication umbrella.
Yeah, there's I have a feeling that I'd really like to know you better, right? Because you're very industrious and crafty here, right? And I bet you there's some things that you've done in your personal life that, um, just putting a few connections and the fact that you're connected with a bunch of nonprofits and you've spent a book and that and on your own in retirement. I bet you in your personal life you've done some things that are pretty darn cool too. and you'd probably be a great sit around the campfire, tell me a story person.
I think I would. I have a lot of things that I've done. Yes, I agree.
Yeah. So, so I always say that if anybody's ever interested in talking, with any of these interviews, the interviewer will provide me with a full bio and description and how they want to get a hold of you. So if you're watching this video, just look below, and if you're interested in, contacting and getting your DNA enhanced, then we know somebody that can help you with that. So
Absolutely.
yeah, and so what's next for you? Is there anything that you've been sort of thinking about?
Yes. So I actually just wrote another book. I will share that with you. And it is actually called Enhancing Your Leadership, Communication, and Performance DNA. And so that book was just released in October 2024. And I'm excited to say that it actually was recognized by the American Writing Awards in the category of business and leadership. And so I'm kind of excited about where it's going. The next step for that book and for the work that I'm doing around leadership, communication, and performance is I'm going to be having some online courses that I'm creating that will
Okay.
align to that book and allow people, maybe they can't come to a workshop or maybe they don't know how to get in touch with me. They could actually do some online training to help them through their leadership goals, their communication goals, and improving their performance in their work and life. Because I think that when you think about those three topics, it's not just for the CEO in a company. It's for any level of anybody in the workplace or at home, because I even think about stay-at-home moms having to be leaders in their home, having to
Mhm.
communicate in their home and outside of their home. And so all of that ties together regardless of the role that you have.
No, absolutely right. You're right. It's so interesting. I've been in sales marketing for way too long, right? That when I hear about all these things and this is going to end up as a compliment, so stay with me. It's
Okay.
I hear leadership books and programs and working with big companies and I think, okay, well, how would I make money off this if I was you, right? And the easy thing for me would be I'd find another big company to, come in and share what I've done and but really I guess that you find a tremendous amount of pride and happiness in working with your audience, even though it's probably not the most lucrative for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I could have taken the knowledge that I have
Mhm.
and everything that I've done and gone back to Lilly
Yeah, right.
as a contractor and done
Mhm.
my work there. They have the resources.
Mhm.
I wanted to go where they needed the resources.
Yeah.
So yes, I get the joy out of working with so many of those who need the um, experience that I have. Um, so that's what I do.
Yeah, you sound like a wonderful person. And I
Thank
said at the
you.
beginning that this would be a smooth interview. And you notice that when the camera went out, man, you didn't stumble or anything. You just kept on going. You're a pro.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank
Well,
you. It's
yep.
amazing.
So make sure you guys get in touch with um contact information below and it's been an absolute pleasure
Thank you.
meeting you today.
Oh, I've enjoyed it. Thank you so much. And yes, I will be more than happy to talk with anyone who has questions or need any advice or guidance.